Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast is Critical Blast.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
And I'm Scott Wakefield, host of Silverline's Wednesday WHAM, where we talk about comic books and all kinds of great storytelling, sometimes with incredible guests. And we want you to join us Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Silverline's Wednesday WHAM this November. I can't read the numbers on there.
We wish.
This is July 12th. I am Roland Mann. I am not the regular host. We're still working on that.
Yep.
But I am. I'm also joined by Rob Davis. What's up, Rob?
Same old stuff. We just had a storm blow over us, and my AirPods are not working. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Yep.
Okay, good. I'm going straight through the iPad. So the AirPods, for some reason, they'll hook and then they'll unhook. So we'll go naked right now.
Right.
But we just had a storm blow over, and we needed the rain badly. Of course, 5 minutes of rain's not going to do much good. But
no,
there was a bit of lightning, so it was a little scary there for a minute. But I'm here, so
you need a good 10-hour ground soaker, huh?
I will take a little bit of what Vermont got, and bring it here to Missouri. We could use some of that.
I didn't see what Vermont had. I've been busy the last several days.
Oh, that's right. They've had flooding up there.
Really?
Rain. Yeah, it's insane, crazy in Vermont right now.
Up
on the New England area, and this storm that's coming through here now that just kind of skirted us, it's going to go right across the nation and right over to Vermont again and dump on them again. It's once you get settled in, check out what's been happening.
Yeah,
it's pretty scary.
Yeah, we are still all in boxes. I know you can't see much, but it's all boxes back there. So And matter of fact, I was actually scrambling before tonight because I couldn't find my keyboard and my mouse, and I had my tower. All right, so I had my computer, but I'm like, I didn't have the components. It's like, well, it doesn't me no good. So I'm literally, so I'm gonna tell something about myself here. I usually work off of 3 monitors for this, right? So I usually have my main monitor in front of me, and then I have one turned vertical because I like to type on it. You know, comic books are vertical, right? So I like to see all that vertical. And then I've got a much smaller monitor that I usually sit on top of. I sit it up kind of high. That I just keep my email, and sometimes I put a weather up there. You know, I just put kind of junk up there that I occasionally look to. You know. And so yeah, I've got.
So you're limping along on one monitor.
I've got this one monitor right here, and you can't see it, but there's the arm that holds the other monitor. That's where my camera is sitting right now.
Hey,
so
I usually have the iPad on a tripod pointed at my drawing board. So
yeah.
I've done come on the Sunday show using my I've got a work table right here, and just on the other side of it is my computer desk, and I've got my iMac over there, and I actually went used that, and you can see all the models and stuff behind me over there.
Yeah.
But it's also a mess. The models are kind of cool, but
they are.
At it gets pretty ratty looking. I try to do it over here where it's still messy, but you know, this is all the stuff I used to draw with. So
yeah. Well, I really that cover behind your head, that's one of my all-time favorites, and that's out of Avengers 1 through 10. That is the one issue that I do not own. So
I have a ratty copy of it.
Do you?
Yeah, I bought one back in the 1980s for like $25, and it's pretty ratty.
Yeah.
But I have it. I have the first 8.
Yeah.
Some of them are in, iffy condition, but I have the first 8. Well, 2 through 8, and then 1 I got a reproduction copy of. So that I have them all as they looked back then. So
number 1 is the most I've ever spent on a comic book.
Really?
And in the 90s, I bought issue number 1 for $200. And
you can't touch it for that.
Even no.
Bad condition.
No,
bad condition, you can't touch it.
But I've got this will tell you the sign of the times, right? So this is around 91, 92. I bought it, and I took it directly to Stan Lee to sign, and I just walked up to the table and I said, hey, would you sign my copy of Avengers? And he said, well, sure, true believer, And so I didn't have to pay.
You didn't have to pay anything for the signature. Yeah,
I didn't have to pay to stand in line. I didn't have to pay for the signature. I just walked right up.
Are gone.
I know.
Stan's gone, but because everybody charges anymore, except for little guys like me.
It's funny. That's one of the arguments. And not me. I didn't get in the argument, but that's one of the things that Neil Adams, when I did some shows with him, Wizard shows with him, like 2017, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And this is when I learned Joel Adams was his son. I didn't know that, right? I hired Joel to do a few things at Malibu in the 90s. I had no idea he was related to Neil.
Well, that's good that you hired him on his own, on his own talents rather than his name. That's cool.
And that's what he said. That's what when because I was sitting there talking. I had never met him in person. You know how it is in comics. You work with people a lot of times, and you don't meet them, right? And so I had never met Joel, and we're talking, from the 90s. And so I was at a show with him, and we're sitting there talking, blah, 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 and he was like, hey, Neil, and Neil, and after a few minutes, I said, you've said Neil several times. Do you mean Neil Adams? And he looked up at me and he goes, yeah, you didn't know Neil was my dad? I'm like, no way. I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? He goes, because that's exactly why I didn't want to tell you, because I wanted you to hire me on my own merits and not because Neil was my dad.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so it's funny because I had already talked to Neil some at the show. It was a dead show. This one in particular, I'm remembering was in Fort Lauderdale.
Wizard is no more, so that tells you.
Yeah. So I don't have any bridges to burn there, right? But so I'd already talked to him, and he, he was on a kick. Who was he arguing with online? Was it Mark Wade about signatures?
Could
I
be.
don't remember.
I didn't catch any of that. I missed that thing.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was just one of these arguments like, you should be signing for your signatures, blah. All these other people do. You should be signing, blah blah blah. And I don't remember the scope of things, but I said something to Joel. I said, "Well, how much do you charge for your signature?" and he looked at me and he laughed. He goes, "I tell Dad to chill about that all the time." And so after I talked to Joel, I walked, because they were back to back, right? So I walked around and I was talking to Neil again. I said, there's a guy sitting right over there who's won all kinds of awards for television, because Joel did a lot of work. I think it's oh shoot!
Don't ask me. I'm dead on that one.
No, it's the King of the Hill. King of the Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did a lot of the designs, animation, and stuff like that.
Storyboards and character design.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And I said he's won all kind of awards, and he does comic books. And I said, and he doesn't sign, and he doesn't charge for his autographs. Neil, of course, I'm talking to him. Neil's sitting there drawing, and as soon as I say that, he slams his pen down. And he goes, "I know it, and I've told him over and over." So.
I charge for sketches, but I don't charge a lot, really. I've been told that my prices are too low, and I'm going, well, I can knock them. You've never seen me doing sketches. You'll see that when we're in Daytona. Well, I can knock out a sketch pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I
don't charge a lot for them. And I've always thought, me as from the fan perspective, I've always thought that was fair. Hey, I'm asking you to draw something for me, even if it's pretty quick. Of course, it seems fair that I would pay you some money for it.
Well, that's how I pay for the table.
Yeah. Well, the autograph thing for me is always kind of like, I don't know if you bring me 10 books of the same thing. Then I'm thinking this is not for you.
You're going to sell those on eBay,
right? And so I might be more inclined to charge for something like that. No one's ever done that, to be honest, to be forthcoming. But when someone brings me, hey, here's Cat and Mouse, 3 through 13, and then here's something else, they're wanting them. This is my way of saying, hey, look, you bought these books. So thank you. Here, I'm going to put it. If you want my name on it, I'll be happy to sign it. That's my thank you.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody ask you to sign something you didn't do?
So yes, I have.
Yeah, I have too, and it's a funny feeling, isn't it?
It is. It does feel funny. There's this one guy who's fairly local. He may actually come out to Daytona. And he has a little wagon he pulls around, and he's got long boxes, right? But he's got lists of there.
Okay.
And he stopped at the table one time, and he going through pulling stuff out, plops a bunch of stuff up for me to sign, and I'm like, okay, cool, So I start signing, and I come to one of them, like, I don't think I worked on this one, and he goes, well, your name is in it, and I'm like, okay, and so I start flipping through. I'm like, I don't remember any of this, right? So what had happened is he found my name in the corporate credits. And so I'm like, okay, I guess so. We got a couple comments here. Vic, always first. Vic says, Buonasera, Silverliners. What is up, Vic? Good to see you here. Dave says, hi guys, what's up, Dave?
Hey.
And then he says, not used to no comics behind you, Roland, I know. There will be, this is going to be, I'm not sure if this is where the camera will be. I'd like to have a camera right up there more directly in front of me.
Maybe I should do this where you see all my comics.
There you go. So. Yeah. This is probably going to be the new look. I'm thinking about putting up, maybe I got
A Silverline poster or something?
I got the Silverline poster over here, and maybe making like a wall of covers.
Oh, yeah.
Putting like a wall of covers behind me that you can kind of see. I can't really hold this up and do that.
Yeah,
But
like
you know
I
what I'm
did-
saying?
Yeah, like I did with printing out this scan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing. The wife and I are still kind of going over different things, what can go on the wall, that kind of thing. You know how that is.
If everybody didn't know, Roland had just moved. So
Yes, and I am. Oh my goodness, I am beat. I'm bruised and sore in places that I didn't know could get sore. And
you're using muscles you normally use to move all those boxes and stuff around.
yes, it's like my knees. My knees have never really. I've never been one of those guys that my knees bothered me, but my knees have bothered me this time, and I'm like, oh my goodness, why are my knees hurting so much? They pop almost every time I move them now.
Put
right?
a lot more pressure on them than they're used to. Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. Pops says, "Hey, yo, Roland, you look wiped out, brother. I am pretty wiped out, Pops. Thank you for swinging by. And listen, Pops has been a lifesaver for me here because, as I just said earlier, I didn't know which box. I had my tower, but I didn't know where I could not find my keyboard. So I had a tower and I had a monitor. But it's like I couldn't connect them, and I didn't have any way to make them work, right? So I asked Pops. I said, "Dude, look, can you set up their shows?" So Pops actually set up our shows for yesterday and today. So thank you, Pops. I appreciate that.
Finally found your keyboard. Yeah.
I finally found my keyboard and my mouse and my camera there and you can't see it so much, but I'm trying something. I got my microphone right there. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see if that works. I'm looking at where it's connected because I've got a rack, right, a comic rack in front of me this time, and it looks like it's about to slip off of the pole. So I'm going to have to figure out something because I'd hate to be sitting here talking and this thing just fall in my face. Yeah. So I'm going to have to figure out something to do because it's meant to be squished. It's got a clamp, and it's meant to be squished on a flat object, but that pole is round, so...
it could slip at any time, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been quite the adventure. We, to make a long story short, we were encouraged strongly to leave from our landlord. He jacked the rent up on us during COVID, $500 a month.
Ooh.
And the first sum he gave us was $800 a month more than that. And I just told him, I said, I can't pay that. I said, that's crazy. So they said, well, we can do this, and then for a year, and but at the end of the year, we're going to go up to it's like $2,500, and I'm like, I cannot pay that. What are you? You're crazy. It's just nuts.
That's more than my mortgage payment.
It's nuts. It's nuts. The housing and rental market down here in Orlando has just gone gonzo zonkers.
It's gone
bonkers. It's just nuts.
I bet part of that though is, from what I hear, is that insurance rates have skyrocketed because of hurricanes and stuff that have hit.
We just saw on the news that one of the insurers, Farmers.
I know State Farm had left.
Farmers has just left. They won't do auto and home insurance down here anymore.
Yep.
So it's getting tough to as a person who's real, I get it. It doesn't make very good business sense for an insurer to, you've got this, $1 trillion house sitting right on the beach line. Gee, a hurricane might come wipe this thing out. Why would an insurer do that? I mean,
It exposed them to that much expense, that much possible expense, and or they raise the premium so high that nobody wants to pay them and won't pay them, or in any case, it's possible that's what jacked your rent up, is that because of hurricanes and other natural disasters that seem to be happening more and more lately, insurance rates are going to go up. And I know my insurance is with State Farm. I've been very fortunate to have, they cover my house and my car, and my wife's even got a life insurance policy with them. I've got others, but they've been really good for us. But if Missouri started having a lot of problems and they started jacking rates up, we could run into the same problem. It's unlikely, since we don't have a coast here in Missouri.
Yeah. Well, you're not that far from the fault line.
No. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
And oh yeah, when the Mississippi ran backwards.
Yeah. That's it.
That's like an every 200-year thing, or every 100-year thing, and we're due.
I was going to say it was.
I was trying to think of where it's New Madrid.
The New Madrid fault, and it went off in 1811, 1812, and so
it's been over 100 years. And
it's due,
and it's an over 150-year event, and we're well overdue. And it not only did the Mississippi River run backwards, it rang bells in New England.
Yep.
The impact of that rang in New England.
Yeah, the St. Francis River, which runs right along the Missouri Arkansas border.
Yeah,
it had things there. And they said there were trees flying out of the ground, because of the liquefaction. When the ground shakes, there were just trees just shooting up out. We are joined by David Rios. What's up, Dave?
How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. We've just been shooting the bull here for 22 minutes. We hadn't got to our topic.
Comics yet, which is really comics.
Yeah, I figured that.
I think that's what happens sometimes when, of course, I feel like I haven't been on for nearly a month. That's not the case. We missed last Sunday because of I thought I was going to be able to do this Sunday, but it just wasn't possible. And then, of course, last Sunday, or the Sunday week then, was the holiday. So, it feels like I've been, haven't been on here for a while. But
and Wednesday WHAM wasn't on last week because it was the holiday right after the 4th.
Yeah.
So,
and Tuesday either.
Yeah, Tuesday had the holiday also. So.
And then we lost our host because because Scott's got a deal going on, and he's now moving steam paint.
It's funny. I've been thinking about how to say that. I was going to say something, because we are still talking about host for Wednesday, and I've been thinking, did Scott move to? I started to say Scott has moved on to browner pastures.
Browner pasture. And
not green. So, but instead of saying that, I decided, because I didn't want to say greener pastures, because come on, it's Silverline, right? So I've decided that I think I should say Scott has moved on to different pastures.
Okay, fair enough.
And from what I understand of the deal, I completely understand it.
Sure.
Plus, it's a great book. I hope he and the books do very well.
I hope so too.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We missed them terribly, but we wish them well.
Yeah, because I have
listen
to him every week. So
I mean, Rob, you've been around long enough to know. Because someone asked me, "Oh, well, are you mad?" I'm like, "Well, why am I mad?" No, of course I'm not mad. Am I going to miss them? Does it cause me some turbulence for Wednesday? Yeah, a little bit, of course, because what are we going to do and that kind of thing. But I said, one of the things I've always enjoyed, me personally, as a person, as an editor, I've always enjoyed kind of finding talent. part of what I look back at. Oh, look at this. Rory's tuning in. Rory, we miss you, man. Royal Airship says we still love you dearly.
Yeah.
And then look at this. BJ says we got some cool plans for that back wall. So yeah.
Good.
But part of what I've always enjoyed being able to find talent and do whatever is in my power to cultivate it, to motivate it, to encourage it, and if it allows them to go on to something new and different and maybe even better and gives them some well, then why would I be upset? I mean, I will be the one to get to say, oh yeah, that Steam Patriots guy, yeah. Did they started off with me?
There you go. That's the way.
Yeah. So I'm not opposed to that at all because the way I kind of look at Silverline is that and of course I could say this here. There are three old coots here. Is that Silverline is made up of a bunch of folks like us who want to make comics. And we're not doing it, at least, I don't think you guys are. You haven't expressed that to me. We're not doing it because we're trying to make our break in comics. We...
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. I like comics. I like making comics a lot. It's people get my age, they take up gardening, they take up whatever. I just do comics. I like comics, But also, there's that aspect of it, right? There's the aspect of a bunch of us who know and like each other, and we like comics and we're making comics. But there's also the aspect of some of these young folks coming along and saying, hey, I'd like to make my mark in comics. I'm still young, and I want to go make a mark. I'm like, come on, we'll help you get started. There is experience here. There are veterans here that can help you make those steps. And if something, I'm gonna pick on Peter a little bit. If someone like Peter Clinton comes in here, does a Silverline team up for us, maybe does another miniseries for us after that, and it says, hey guys, DC saw my work and they're going to give me an opportunity to come, do something for them. Then
that happened for him pretty soon.
I think I've told Pete before. And we've got a couple other young guys too that I think it's the same thing. They just need mileage. You know what I mean?
The Beatles needed Hamburg. And
yeah.
I hope we're a little less seedy than Hamburg. But we're the Hamburg of comics, I guess.
Yeah, and some of it is. Like anything, some of it is just getting some experience under your belt. And I'm of the belief that someone with the skills, like, some of these guys I'm talking about, the Kubrick graduates, Ray is with us now. We're doing some really nice stuff on Wolf Hunter. I know you guys haven't had a chance to see much of it. David probably seen it. Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. And then we've got Angelo, who's doing the next cat and mouse thing. Both these guys are, they just graduated from the Kubrick school, and you look at the stuff, and Rob, you could look at it and say, okay, well, there's this and this and this and this, and I look at it and say, you know what, you guys, you just need a couple hundred pages under your belt. And then you're gonna, because it's just that they know what they're doing. They just got to figure it out and do it.
That's what it took for me, was getting. I got my feet wet on a book for Moon Comics, and I don't like saying the name. So,
yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, that's how I got my feet wet. And after a number of issues, I started to improve, started to get into the groove, and then you're beating your head against the wall. Suddenly there's a hole in the wall and you're there.
Right. Yeah.
And it's because you've been, working at it. And that's what it takes. It just takes practice.
That's exactly it.
You got to beat your head on the wall till it comes down.
Yep.
So.
That's right. Lori says, thank you for considering us young.
It definitely. And I hear, I've seen a few of these, and I hear Rob talking about that all the time, about the mileage and just, you just have to get there and do it. And
hey, Brent.
it's a lot of just putting the effort into it and try and try and try. I know for me, it took me quite a while before I got in with the coloring department, and I was very raw. I mean, I had some graphic design at the local community college, but my comic book stuff was very raw. And luckily, I had Mike Giles at Malibu Graphics, who basically told me, "You've called me every single day to do this for months and months. I'm going to have to give you a chance." and that did it. And I learned a lot.
The only way he could shut you up
is to hire you.
Basically. And it paid off. And it was a lot of work, a lot of hours and everything. And I just learned how to do it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm anywhere near the best in the industry. There's a lot of fantastic people in there, but I do okay. I mean, Roland's pretty happy with my stuff.
You're pretty darn good. So
it's and I know I know Kirby, I know Neil Adams, but I can crank out a page that's readable.
Yeah.
So,
And
so and that's I do the best I can, and I keep trying to improve.
And you're pretty darn good as well. So we are also now joined by Brent T. Larson. What's up, Brent?
Finally, another writer to the mix besides just Roland. Yes,
that's right. How are the muscles, Brent?
They're fine. Looks like you're all set up.
Well, I don't know about all set up, but
golf community.
I don't know about all set up just yet, but it works. So for those who not sure where I'm getting at, Brent actually helped me move.
I kind of wondered about the muscle part.
Brent and Tommy. Tommy helped us move as well, but Brent was our muscle. We had something heavy, and we said, "Hey, Brent, come here."
There you go.
Yeah.
I got a question here
Roland. I'm not going to do that for any of the rest of you, so don't ask.
I wasn't going to be flying in from Missouri either.
Well, I considered trying to wait till Daytona and just have a convention.
Well, each of us could have carried one box, so
right?
Be there. So yeah.
Dave, we got a random question for you. Said, are you from Albany, Oregon? Because I had a friend in high school with your name.
No, I am not. I am pretty much born and raised in California. I lived in Austin for about 6 months, but pretty much outside of Los Angeles and the surrounding suburbs of Los Angeles.
Well, that question was from Benjamin J. Krager. So sorry, Benjamin, this is not your former high school buddy, who you have now lost.
Wow.
Yeah. Royal Airship says, Brent's arrived. I can set my watch.
Yeah, the half hour is here. Yeah.
Benjamin said, long shot. He lost contact with him. So
wow. That happens. There's a lot of folks I lost contact with from high school and college days.
Yeah.
Some I know I'm never going to contact again. But a couple of my high school classmates, we reconnected on Facebook. So social media does have some redeeming qualities.
It does. Yeah,
that's one of them.
It allows me to let people know what I had for dinner. That one restaurant.
Yeah, that's kind of that part of it.
Did you take a picture of it too?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Look, everyone. Sorry about the SpaghettiOs that you have to have when I'm having this. Facebook. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mickey Clausen says, evening, y'all. What's up, Mickey? Mickey, we got to get you back on these streams regular, my friend.
Yep.
Yeah, he was he was on the Wednesdays for a while, and then Mickey went through a move. And then that's when we lost him on the stream. So I gotta get on him, Mickey. You gotta get back.
Yeah, because he was not here when I first started doing these. So
no, he he goes, yep. Yeah. He was he made a long not all the way across country. He went from California to Texas. So
that's a third of the way across the country. Where he is, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Mickey, we got to get you back on regular. You got 3 nights to choose from. So
yeah.
He says that
sometimes they are short of people. That's so. And the more the merrier. The more people we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mickey said, just finished a book with the granddaughter. Yeah. Mickey, drop that link. You're kickstarting it, are you not? If I'm not mistaken, you are in the middle of a campaign for that. Mickey said Wednesdays is where he was on.
Okay.
So drop the link, Mickey, so that we can send everybody who is listening here and listens to the rerun, the archives. Drop the link so that they can go to it. Please do not hesitate to do that.
Yep.
Thomas Flormonti says, if you need a mover, Brent is a powerhouse of a moving man.
Once again, I will not help any of you move.
Don't worry, I am not moving anytime soon.
I'm talking about the millions of people watching this podcast.
Unless you just have a cat and a computer to move, and then if you buy us a beer, we'll come. But
here we go. Mickey has dropped the link, so all of you who are watching now,
that link.
Go on over to Kickstarter and look up Tales of the Godai or Mindwinder Studios, and that is Mickey with his granddaughter. So get over there and support that if you can. If you don't have the dollars to throw at it, you can share it. Tell folks, hey, this is cool. This is a comic book artist who's doing a comic book with his granddaughter. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not out of line here, but his granddaughter's young. I think she's 14 or 15, something like that. So she's still a middle school, high schooler.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be 8th or 9th grade,
something like that. Yeah, so she's young. So and I've seen it. I've seen the artwork. It looks good. She's got if something she wants to do, she's got a. Oh, yep. So Mickey says she is 15. So
that'd be like a freshman in high school, maybe.
Yep. So Tommy says he'll only help once a year, and that was last weekend.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
Vic says, I just woke up. Sorry. How did you just wake up, Vic? I got a message from you. You were the first message on here. How did you...
And Vic is one of those folks we've been helping along, too. And Vic, I will be giving you comments on that PDF you sent me. Just bear with me. It's this is one of those weeks.
Here's the thing I'm going to say that is a positive, hopefully, for Vic. One of the things Vic is doing that you don't see a lot in young artists who say they want to work, they'll often show you something and say, hey, I want to work in comics. And then you'll see them again, 6 months, 8 months later, and they show you the same thing that maybe they erased a little bit on. Vic is doing pages. Vic is doing pages and pages and pages and pages and pages.
Which is what
Pop says, we call him Meatball. So this is what he needs to do. He just needs to do page after page after page after page. So I am giving Vic kudos here on the air in front of everybody in the world. That's what you got to do. You just got to do it.
And find people like me at conventions or on podcasts and ask them for your input. Not everyone's going to be able to, and sometimes it takes us a while to get to it. But if you get a pro who's been at this for a while, who's beaten their head against the wall, maybe they can help you remove some of the bricks from that wall. So you get a hole in it a little quicker. Right. So he sent me a PDF of his latest work, and I've got some. I looked at it and I'm going, he needs to work on this, he needs to work on that, but I want to be more specific and maybe even do a couple of sketches to show him how I might have done it, so that's going to take me a while to put together for him.
Nice.
Yeah. I want to help him out. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Right now it seems,
even though he calls me venerable.
Yeah, I saw that. Pop says he shows up to the draw streams and learns. And that's, again, that's what you got to do. You got to show up. You got to show up, and you got to do the work.
And it's practice, and then, as David said, this is one of the things I always say: polite persistence pays off.
Yes. Yeah.
Polite persistence pays off.
Yeah.
So you keep at it. Telling people, look at my stuff. Can you tell me what I need to work on?
Yeah.
So be polite, but be persistent.
And you mentioned Rob. You mentioned talking to artists at conventions, and I would say, don't just go to the artists that you like. And I'm gonna call out a bit of a curmudgeon-y folk, because I know he's not listening right now, and I don't think he would mind if I said that. Well, I love the guy. Howard Chaykin is he can be curmudgeon-y, right? Sometimes. He knows this.
He's opinionated.
Yes, he is.
So,
he's very much opinionated.
And there's not a darn thing wrong with that.
Nope.
I'm pretty opinionated myself, so I can say words.
But if you don't know him, sometimes it can come off as a little this guy's But what I would say is that even if there's someone like that, go and show them your work. You gotta leave your ego at the back of the line, right? And say, look, here's my work. Can you give me some opinions? And they will probably give you some opinions. So,
and you may not like them.
That's right. You may not like them. But here's the thing you got to keep in mind. If they're taking the time to give you an opinion, you need to examine what was said for that kernel of truth that they're trying to tell you.
Well, and a reason to go to a bunch of different artists, and if you can find editors don't go to comic book conventions much anymore.
No.
I used to go to them a lot. That's where I got a lot of great feedback from the editors.
Yep.
But go to several different people.
Yep.
And then
absolutely
look and see, and then collate everything that they said. And if there's a repetition from what they're saying,
yes,
man, zero in on that, because that's where you need to really work.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to talk to a bunch of different people, because it's one person will see this, one person will see that.
Right.
But if everybody sees that one thing, you're going, okay, that's what I got. That's definitely what I have to work on. I have maybe the other stuff I can need to work on too, but that one that everyone's talking about, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Pop says we encourage that, and he talks about the draw streams and learns, and then he says listen to him talking about Rob. He said listen to Rob, Vic, polite. Yeah. Royal Airship says love Howard. Yeah, we had a chance to talk to Howard when I went up to.
I think he was on a Wednesday Wham once too, wasn't he? I'm trying to think. Was it?
He was on one of our streams, yeah. But
I think he was on a Wednesday Wham, and
but Rory and I got a chance to Three Rivers Comic Con last year.
Oh yes,
Howard was there.
You guys talking about that?
Yeah. Vic says Chaykin has moxie, a lot of moxie, an outrageous amount of moxie. Oh look, I have Roland to thank for the intro, balanced information. Yeah, that was fun, Rory. At that show. So, and I think Rory, if I'm not mistaken, I think that he's talked to Howard now at other shows. He's gone up to see him, and Howard, remembers him from the conversation. So talk to him.
Yeah.
Vic says talking to Broderick and Gerhard last con really helped. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Yep. Moxie is putting it light. See, Chutzpah is more like it. I'm sure I spelled that wrong. I'm if you spelled it wrong,
Chutzpah probably is what you're talking.
Yeah. Chutzpah. Okay. Well, I don't know how to spell that. So, Roy. So yeah, it was Columbus at GalaxyCon. So, yeah. So guys, my clock says we've been here talking about 45 minutes, and we haven't got to the topic yet.
No,
I'm not sure that we should even. We'll just save it.
Sure, that sounds good.
That's up to you. And I hadn't really
Yeah.
given it a whole lot of thought, but one popped into my mind. But maybe with a little more time to think about it,
We'll just save it. We were supposed to talk about our favorite stories today, but for those of you who are tuning in and wanting to see what our favorite stories are, you're gonna have to tune in next week for that.
Well, not true. Our favorite stories don't revolve comics this particular session. It involves movies, experience with artists, and all that. So we're kind of on the topic. We can smudge that around a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, all right, I just moved that on the calendar to make sure that was going to be next week. Tommy says he would have joined, but he was working late at the office. Tommy,
Right.
we appreciate your hard work at the office because a lot of times you are hard at work doing Silverline books. So sorry that you had to work late.
More books for me. I just recently published a book with them. Boston Bombers Volume 2, Number 1 came from Kablam. Yeah, I've been using them for many years.
Sweet.
Nice.
They do graphic novels for me and then other stuff. So yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Yep.
That was you worked on that like all of last year. How long was it, Rob?
30 pages.
30 pages. Okay, I was thinking it was longer. You working on a longer?
Well, no.
No.
It's it's at least a 3-issue miniseries. So
Okay.
I've got more pages I'm working on it. Once we're going to do them in issue. It's like if it was a regular book. We were quote unquote doing it for a big company for monthly. I mean, I'm doing it as I can get it done.
Gotcha.
But we're going to do it in 3 or 4 chapters, however it ends up being from what Ron Fortier ends up writing it. He's thinking it might be 4. He might be able to wrap it up in 3, but he's got a story he wants to tell. And once you start writing it, as you know, as a writer, and fortunately with the medium we're working in now, we don't have to do 24 pages or 30. We're whatever the story demands, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
So this issue that I'm working on now, that I've got a couple here on the table. I've got I think that one's 27 pages. So we've got some fill in. I've got to put some other stuff in to bring it up to enough so that I can do a magazine. You have to have 4 pages per sheet.
Yeah.
So 27 isn't divisible by 4.
I know, and Rob, you would probably appreciate this. You should hear my conversation with my students sometimes when trying to explain that. They often have a very difficult time understanding why that's the case. And it's like, it has nothing to do with your story. It has nothing to do with the elements of your story. It has everything to do with the physical process of printing.
Yes. A comic book, here, it's get a piece of paper here. Or, I've got a piece of cardboard here. Okay, so you've got, all right, here's the comic book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's a leaf. Printing, it's called a leaf. And it's got how many pages? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pages. Now, you put a bunch of those together to make your comic book, right? Okay, so it has to be in multiples of 4.
Well, why can't you just put 1 extra in there? I mean,
because then the staple won't hold it in place.
I just don't think you're thinking about this correctly. You need to think outside the box.
Yeah,
You know,
5-page comic book exists. I'm certain.
if you're doing a graphic novel, I think if it's doing what they call perfect bound, which is the big, glued, I think they can actually do that in odd numbered pages. I don't believe they usually do, but you can actually have an odd number of pages inside of that. But you still have to have 2 pages.
Yeah.
But what if you just want to have 1?
Well, you'd have the backside is blank.
No. That's too many pages.
That's
I
a
just
one.
want the
Then you're
one.
talking about one-dimensional comic book. Yes.
Yes. I would love to see that comic
Whoa,
science.
see somebody
is
pull that off. Huh?
ready
Yeah.
for that. Yes.
Royal Airship says, this has been the art and science of printing sequential art with Rob Davis. Follow us for more.
Well, the other thing a lot of people don't think about, and from the colorist standpoint, is you also have to keep track of, when you're preparing the colored panels, how you're saturating, what pictures are going, because the last thing you want to do is have one page that's saturating the rest of the four, and you come out with muddy black,
Oh,
That bleeds through the back of the other page, right?
That plus the levels across. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely Tommy's the expert on that, but sometimes they have to go in and kind of modify that to make sure that it balances out correctly and all that. So that's why
Because when it runs through the press, it's going to have it's all you're going to have several pages together, at least two on one side. So they're got to be balanced together. Yeah.
That's why for me, I really hold true to try and maintain that 240 saturation so that it can. I know I've talked with some of the other companies like Hi-Fi Color, and they are pushing the boundaries. They do go up sometimes to like 260, but that's why I tend to stick myself generally around 240, no more than 20K at the darkest.
So
you're
Dave,
putting any K in.
I don't know if you remember this. By the way, Vic says a very venerable explanation, Rob.
Yeah, good job, Rob. I just wanted to say I appreciate
Padawan
being venerable and not so guarded and closed off. Good job.
Dave, I don't know if you remember back in the days of Malibu. You colorist guys, you guys like to go dark, right? You just had just kind of a tendency to and I don't mean like evil dark. I was just like kind of the darker colors. And one of the things that because I know Roberta, because which team were you on, Dave? I forgot. Do you remember?
I started out, I was originally on the night shift, so I was on Sal Mancha's team initially. Then I transitioned to the day where I was under Carolyn Schaefer, who it basically was Andy Walton's team that Carolyn took over like a week before I transferred over.
Gotcha. You did some sludge then, didn't you, with on Andy's team?
I think the stuff was done before. I was doing a lot of Prime, Exiles, stuff like that. Okay.
All right. So I know one of the things that Roberta and I talked about before. One of the things, hey, look at that! You just pulled a Prime out of your butt there, Rob. What the heck?
I got a big pile of comics here off to the left that I'm sorting into my collection. Yeah.
There you go.
What's everybody holding? Let me just pull a Prime out. Oh, it did work for me.
I've got a stack of Nightman comics just waiting for someone to ask for it. So I'll be like,
wait, Tommy inked some of those, don't you?
Yeah.
Brent?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just waiting. Waiting for someone to bring it up.
Yeah, I found a bunch of freebies from Malibu that I got back today when I worked for them, and I'm going to pack up some of them and bring them along with me to Daytona when I come.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. See if anybody wants them.
Well, what I was gonna say is that one of the things that we because if you look at look, Benjamin says Ultraverse.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I kind of said it in the tone of the Ultra Force cartoon. Ultra Force, right? Vic says the pack rights are the best. I say that they only because they did my favorite book. Okay, fair enough, Vic. One of the things that would often happen sometimes is that they would bring me the colors, right? And I would look at them, and as the editor, we were looking for, continuity errors and all, and a little thing like that, right? And one of the things that was almost always true with me was like, oh, these covers look great, lighten the whole thing by 10%. It was just sort of a generic. These look great, but they're too dark. And part of the problem that colorists sometimes, and I look at modern comics today, I think that's still a problem, right?
It is.
Part of the problem is you look at the screen, and the screen looks bright and vivid and gorgeous, right? But you're looking at it through a light source that's making these
rather
right?
than reflected light, you've got light coming in.
Yes. And it's printed on the page. It's always going to be darker. Benjamin likes him some Nightman. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Dave, I didn't even realize you were sharing here.
I was just sharing this. This is a page that I did from one of the Prime issues.
Nice.
I'm gonna blow that up a little bit here. Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Let's see if I can go solo with it. Hold on a second. Here we go.
That was a double page spread from one of the Prime books. Unfortunately, with the disconnect, I used to have a lot of the files, so now I'm just basically had to rescan the firies that I have printed out. And speaking of which, if somebody did mention Nightman, I have this piece that
check it out.
That I colored. That was one of two pieces that the editors went to. Was it CBS that did the Nightman show? One of the proposal pieces for the network to try and get that on the air.
So zoom in on that. I think I see Tommy's signature.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's sorry, that's not.
No.
Adriana Mello. Wow, that's a name I hadn't heard in forever.
Eddie Wagner and
Eddie Wagner.
myself.
Dave Rios. Look at that. Ben
There's a Nightman
says,
for you.
Yeah. I'm working on collecting all the original Ultraverse comics. Such a great universe. Well, Ben, or Benjamin, I'm sorry. I don't know if you made the assumption that Ben. Benjamin, there's a whole bunch of us that used to do a bunch of the Ultraverse comics as part of Silverline. So glad that you have tuned in. Hopefully you stick with us a little bit. We're still making comics. It's not the Ultraverse, but we're still making comics. So.
Yep.
Vic says, let's not talk about that show. I guess you mean Ultra Force. I remember the only thing I had to do with Ultra Force was I got to have some input on the voices. They would bring me over recordings of the voices. Oh, this is who we're thinking about for a prototype. What do you think? And I'm like, well, I like this voice better than I didn't know any of them, right? But
so Roland,
yes.
One further thing on the comment you made with the darks and the colors.
Yeah.
A very common thing for some of the colorists to do, which wasn't the best thing, was because to do things quickly and speed. A lot of the colorists would use the dodge tool and the burn tool. So they would sit there and dodge the highlights and then burn in the shadows. The problem with the burn tool was that tended to add a lot of black. So in cases, you would get stuff where like yellows would get muddied and all that because there would be high concentrations of black and stuff like that. So in interest of speed, it was a quick tool. You don't have to worry about repicking your brushes, your shades and all that stuff. So a lot of people would just hit one color and dodge and burn, move on to the next color, dodge and burn. So that was a common thing with some of the artists that they would do. So, that's probably led to some of those panels of, hey, maybe you need to lighten this up a little bit.
Yeah, I did not realize that. And a lot of people, you talk about that, Dave. A lot of people don't realize a lot of times when you're thinking comics is that monthly comics have got to come out monthly, and so that means often the creative aspects on a clock. It's like, hey, I can't go to the beach today because I got 2 pages I got to finish by tomorrow, and so. I got to go. I'm on a deadline because that comic book has to get out. Oh, look at this. Benjamin says, I'm glad I found Silverline. We are glad that you found us too. Yes. Okay, Vic was talking about the Nightman TV show and not the Ultra Force cartoon. So I'm not going to argue with you there, Vic. I agree. Vic says, monthly comics coming out monthly? Tell that to Image.
We have been since day one.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's funny. My last thought about Image here, you guys chime in. Tommy and I were talking about Image recently. And so the four of us probably have a different mentality or the term, the Image name conjures up a different meaning than when I mention Image to my students. They don't think of Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld,
No.
Valentino. They think of Walking Dead. They think of Saga. You know, they think of. They don't know who the founders were. Those guys mean
Nor
nothing
do they
to
care.
them.
Nor do they
Right?
care.
Yeah, they don't care.
And I don't blame them.
Yeah, right.
Image is not the same as it was. None of and nothing is.
No.
But us old fogies who put up with the initial blush of Image have a completely different idea about what Image is than what it is today.
Yeah.
And I think in my mind it's better.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
It's better, but there's still that little. I don't know if it's a bitter taste, but it's kind of a strange taste in the mouth from the early, especially the early Image days, because they were a little overbearing.
Yeah, they were cocky.
Yeah, and some of it was deserved, but I think not as much as they did.
Yeah.
So
you know what's funny though, and it's not like I really know because I wasn't really in the industry. I laughingly say I'm in the industry now, but there was I was going to say it was on AMC. They did a series on comics, and one of them was about Image, and it ended the episode by having all the founders get up on stage, probably at Comic-Con or something like that, like recently, like just in the last few years. And what was strange was, and Robert Kirkman, I think, was actually hosting the panel. And the fact was, they were all like, you know what? We were kind of jackasses. And like, we kind of regret that. And, you know, Liefeld had his meltdown, and McFarlane was always popping off. And they're like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. We were wrong. And I'm like, did I just hear what they said? People in the entertainment industry saying we were wrong without having to be prompted by an agent.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it sounds like they matured. I don't believe it.
They were young. They were young guys.
Especially Rob Liefeld he was a kid. You know?
Valentino, I guess, was probably the oldest of the bunch.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right.
And he had been around a while, and then I guess probably Silvestri might have been I don't know their ages, but I'm gonna
either. I didn't meet any of them. I saw them at the Chicago Comic-Con one time. They had a tent set up outside the hotel specifically for the Image guys. The rest of the convention was in the hotel, but they set up an air-conditioned tent just for the Image guys for you to go out and meet and yeah.
Well, as you might imagine, because of their association with Malibu early on, I met them all. And you know, Hank, my good buddy Hank Canals, he and Rob were buddies. I think Hank worked on some of the very early iterations of Youngblood.
Cool.
And Hank is in. If you look, Hank is in one of the early Founders pictures. He is there. There's a picture of labeled Image Founders. He is often miscredited as Whilce Portacio. But now Whilce is a bigger guy. They're both, Asian descent. Whilce is a bigger guy, where Hank is a little
I
skinny.
never knew how to pronounce that. I'm so glad you said that. Whilce.
Whilce? Yeah.
Because I that the way it's spelled, I would. Yeah. How's that pronounced? Whilce. Okay. I got to remember that. Okay.
So that's something that and I think part of what happened is that Hank was part of the Founders, and then he went to Malibu, so that removed him as one of the Image initial Founders. So was pretty interesting. It was very much an interesting time.
It was a roller coaster, but it was an exciting roller coaster. And I was on the periphery of all that. I worked on the Deep Space Nine Star Trek book, so I was on the edge of all that. But Malibu coming into its own, and then eventually getting gobbled up by Marvel. But the industry had ridden high, and then was starting to head down on the roller coaster. Not much. But that whole time was unlike any other in comics history. So somebody needs to write a history of that era. It'd be interesting with that black and white boom, and then Malibu busting into color from there. Is one of the more interesting stories, I think. I
agree. Brent, did you watch that whole series?
Yeah, it was really interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah, it was. My problem with some of these history books, there's a book that everybody refers to as like, oh, you got to read this one. It tells a history of comics, and I'm like, here's my problem. I read the 3 or 4 pages that he wrote about Malibu, and there was so much stuff that was wrong. And so,
we're all still here.
Right.
We're all still here. Just call one of us, get a hold of them.
But here's the problem with that, though. Right? All right. My thinking then is that, okay, look, if he got that much wrong in those 4 pages,
as much as the rest of it bad.
Yes. And so I can't trust the rest of it, and it might be a good read, but I can't trust the rest of it as factual, because I know how much is wrong in those 4 pages. It wasn't very long. It wasn't very Malibu was just a blip there, and really kind of probably only mentioned because of the whole Marvel stuff. But it's like if I know that there's so many things that are wrong in those 4 pages, what's that say about the rest of the book?
Yeah, and there's no way to know. There's no way to know.
No.
That's a common thing that I see throughout, the Ultraverse page on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah.
How often is Tom Mason stepping in going, that's actually not right? It's like people are quoting gospel, and it's like, wait a minute, why don't you ask the people who know?
Right. Yeah. It's funny because the Marvel bought Malibu for the coloring department. It comes up so often.
Yeah.
Tom now he doesn't even respond with words. He just gives them a link. Read this. It's like, I've already answered that in great detail.
And that was a common myth from that. I heard that.
It still exists.
I didn't know any better, so I half believed it until I heard from people who really did know what was going on. But so even someone who was on the periphery like me was believing that was why Marvel bought them. But it's a whole different story. And the real story makes sense.
Yes.
The buying it for the coloring department never made a lick of sense to me. I thought, those guys are idiots for doing that. Because all that does is, and here's the funny part, all it does is all those people could just quit the department and go set up their own coloring department somewhere else and do it. You're not buying. When you buy a company, you're not buying the people. You're buying the company, and those people will just get up, walk off, and start doing it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, but that's what the coloring was those people doing it.
Yeah.
Like Dave.
I've said dozens of times before, Marvel, if the coloring department was all they wanted, they could have dropped less than 10%.
Yeah.
Less than 10% of what they spent on the company and built their own coloring department.
Yeah. Grab a couple of people that are involved, get them higher play.
Right.
And
listen,
then their own thing using their knowledge. Yeah.
Image used to until and Dave may remember this, until corporate decided that Image couldn't that the coloring department couldn't take any more personal phone calls at the office. Image used to call up and ask to talk to a colorist. hey, can we talk to so and so? Yeah, okay, yeah. They get them on the phone and say, hey, this so and so down in Image. We want to hire you. They stole colorists for. There was a span of a couple of months. They stole a colorist from us about every other week, and they just paid them more money. Is what it boils down to. Yeah, if they wanted to, if that was all there was, that they could have done that at a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah, it didn't make a lick of sense to me. I half believed it because I knew a lot of what Marvel was doing was really crazy. Spending money left there. And there's a point at which, if you're taking on debt to pay for all this,
right?
How are you going to pay off that debt? And they did it by going bankrupt.
Yeah.
So,
the other thing was, if they truly only wanted it for the art department, why did they shut the art department down anyways? Why did they completely close Malibu down and not, transfer the art department to its own unique, identity or not? Why, it ended up going to, going down to, Ireland and for bottom 1/3 pay rate or whatever they were doing at the time.
Yeah.
To do that. So
if I'm not mistaken, I see her face. What was her name? She dated Dan Dako for a little while. What was her name?
Jennifer Schellinger?
No, not Jennifer. She didn't date Dan Dako.
No, I don't know where you're going with this.
She went out to train all those folks at Ireland.
That was Jennifer Schellinger.
No, did Jennifer do that?
Yeah, she did. She
was
gone.
I was thinking it was somebody else.
I thought that's where you were going, and that's.
Yeah, okay. Well, Jennifer's now. She's up in Tallahassee, Florida, and she is a marine biologist or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a change.
It is. Yeah, I reached out to her about a decade ago, probably about the time I reached out to you, Dave. And she's like, well, I'm in Tallahassee. I'm getting my PhD in marine biology. And I'm like, what the heck? How'd you get from coloring to that? Vic says, wait, people make comics? And then he says, post-buyout, Malibu lost how special it was, in my opinion. Well, I guess so, whatever. I was there until close to the end, so.
And I was there, so yeah.
Yeah.
I was there till the end. Definitely till the end, so.
Yep.
Now, what had happened was that some of the people in the office changed.
Yeah.
And I think, so the atmosphere changed after Malibu
Yeah,
was
it wasn't long. It wasn't long after that. So I've said before, I always viewed Malibu as the four founders of Malibu, right? There was Dave Olbrich, Tom Mason, Chris Ulm, and Scott Rosenberg. Whenever I think of Malibu, those are the guys I think of, because those are the guys who they were the founders, right? Now there was a lot of other people involved, right? I can start naming people who were there for a long, like I already mentioned, Dan Danko, people who were there for a long time, who clearly I associate with the company, but those are the four guys I think of. Well, after the buyout, it wasn't long before Dave Olbrich was redundant, and they tried to move him around a little bit, but it wasn't long before he was gone. And then not long after that, Tom Mason and Chris Ulm left and started their own Main Brain is what the name of it was. They started
I did a little work for Main Brain.
Yeah.
Well, so Olbrich was with them there as well, wasn't he?
Who?
Well, Olbrich, was he there?
No, not that I know of. Dan Danko was.
He was. It was a very short time.
Yeah. Olbrich went on to do. See, here's where they're still alive. We can find out. Olbrich went on to do. He went on to work for one of those manga reprint companies. Was it Viz? Maybe. I don't remember. He did that for a little while, but
I know he was for a short period, fairly recently. He was working with the team on Monsters Elementary, stuff like that for a short period. He's just kind of been doing his own thing, and his Geek View Tavern and stuff nowadays. So.
Well, he had Dog Studios or
Dog
something like
Works.
that.
Dog
Dogworks, yeah.
I
Yeah.
did a couple of things for him as well.
Yeah.
I have a story I can tell about that, but it's going to take more time than I have.
So what we've been looking at on the screen, Dave, is from Demon's Tales, penciled by Paul Pelletier. Paul was, we talked early at the top of the show about young guys coming in. Paul was one of those guys. This was work that he did prior to going to Malibu. He did a 4-issue miniseries for me, and then for Silverline back then, and then he went to Malibu and did some. Oh look, Dave's got a copy of it there, the black and white copy.
Yep.
And then he went on to Malibu and did the X Mutants before moving on to DC.
Yep.
So yeah, Paul is a good one, and of course those inks are by our very own Thomas Floramonti.
Yep. He loves it when I show him the ones where he used the the tone. The
Zipatone
pages, Zipatone pages and stuff like that. Which I've been removing some, like for example here, this doesn't have the Zipatone, but I went through and I removed all the line art from the back here.
Yeah, he won't care. That's it.
Well, what I end up doing is I end up doing color holds for it.
Yeah. Well, don't tell him, but in the black and white version, I removed some of the Zipatone too and replaced it with Photoshop patterns.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Just
because.
does Zipatone even exist anymore?
I just gave Tommy about 50 sheets of it.
It exists in Roland's basement.
Yeah.
But as a company, are they still making
I don't think so, no.
film? I didn't think so either. I know Duo Shade, the old
Yeah.
paper that you used to be able to take chemicals to and apply it to do great. Yeah, what we used was you may even have some there in the studio. But yeah,
I just unpacked the page.
I had a few pages of it and sold it to an artist not too long ago because I didn't have chemicals anymore. But you applied that one chemical to do cross hatching this way.
Yep.
And you applied another chemical that would do cross hatching both ways.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
So there were other versions of it as well that you could purchase that had different textures and different stuff on it. But that stuff's gone. You can't get that anymore.
Yeah.
But this is like
fun stuff to work with.
This is like I'm talking about here is I just went through and this was the original line art and I cut out all of this back section here.
Oh yeah. That looks lovely.
Oh yeah,
and
toned it down. Yeah, maybe
and then
go to the back. Yeah,
and then what I'll do is once I actually get to the finishing and I finalize colors, then I'll go through and I'll randomize like I did here. Depending on the color. So all of these speed lines and the background lines and these expression lines, I went and I'll match them to that to kind of set the people separate for it. So that's what a lot of this stuff is here.
Sweet. Vic says, Paul Pelletier did The Outsider, which was the comic my mom read as a teen.
All right, you're making me feel really venerable now. Thanks, Nick.
It was The Outsider, and Mike Barr, I think, was a writer for that. There's a screen tone, but the duo shade causes cancer. And then he says, Rob, please tell me that story later, if you would.
It's okay. What were we talking about now? My mind just wandered off that subject.
Dogworks. Dave Oberk and Dogworks.
Oh yeah, it. Okay, I'll try and make it really brief. At one point, Dave hired me to draw something for Budweiser. They were thinking about doing. I don't know if you remember the old advertisement they had where they had these 4 women laying on a beach towel, and across their bathing suits it said Budweiser. Match the. Well, they had a new advertising theme with frogs.
Oh, Budweiser! I love that one. Yeah,
and they had me draw 4 frogs laying on a beach towel with the Budweiser logo across them.
There you go.
Now that's not the most interesting part. That's pretty funny. But later on, I did that and nothing happened with it. But later on, a month or two later, advertising representative from Budweiser calls me, and this is a Thursday night before ChicagoCon, which was started that Friday and ran through the weekend. She calls me on Thursday. I'm getting ready for the show, and she goes, I need you to draw this bigger for me by Monday. And I went, I can't. And she goes, but I need it. And I go, I'm preparing for a convention. This is an important convention.
Yeah.
I could possibly get some more work out of this. Yours is a one-time deal. I have to go to this convention. I can't do that and do what you want me to do. So no, I'm sorry. And she goes, so I don't know whatever happened with that, but that's why I never became a graphic designer, because you get clients like that all the time.
Yeah.
That want you to, that they'll ask you to, okay, we want you to do this project for us. And then you don't hear from them for a month, 2 months, 3 months go by. And then suddenly they will call you on a Friday night and say, or a Saturday, and say, I need this Monday. And you might be on something else at that point. But we talked about it 3 months ago. Yeah, 3 months ago we talked about it. I've moved on to other things. I thought we were done. You know, you didn't call me again, so I thought we were done. But they still want it tomorrow. And we don't wave a magic wand and stuff pops out. You have to take time to do it all. And I tried to tell her, well, you got the one I gave you, right? Because I think I sent it to him in the mail. I said, take it to Kinko's and blow it up, because she needed it for a presentation.
Yeah.
I said, take it to Kinko's and blow it up.
Yeah.
And she's up. Take it to Kinko's and blow it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never saw the ad pop up anywhere, so I don't know.
Man.
But that's the story.
Benjamin said, LOL, I use a parody of the Budweiser frogs in my kids comic. Love that you worked on that. It's pretty cool.
It never, all it did was go to the advertising company. It never made it into print.
Yeah.
When I was doing it, I'm going, this is a crazy idea. But, they paid me for it, so I did it.
There you go.
And she offered to pay me a bunch of money for it. I go, it's not about the money. I can't do it.
It's about the time.
If you'd called me a week ago, I could have. But now, on the night I'm getting ready to go to the show, I'm driving at like 3 or 4 a.m. that next morning. And I can't do it. I just couldn't. And it's not something I could do at the show either.
Right.
So,
yeah. Ah, well, they'll never learn, will they?
Well, who knows if I'd done it and the program had gotten pushed, they might have asked me to do more. But I never heard from anybody ever again because I didn't do something overnight. But that's the way it is. But I hear that stuff happens all the time. Graphics.
Way too frequently. Yeah.
Which is, I'm so glad I didn't get into that. It was bad enough trying to beat deadlines for comic book companies where they, we lost our artist on such and such book, and we need somebody to come and finish this book up for us. Can you do it? And I'm going.
By the way, you have a week.
Yeah, this is early in my career, and I'm going, yeah. And so I spent a week of sleepless nights cranking this out.
Yeah.
It looked like crap, but they paid me. And I learned something from it, but that it happened in comics too. I wouldn't do that today. You couldn't pay enough money to do that today. But.
Yeah. Well, fellas, our it looks like our clock has ticked on, and
actually, this is only supposed to be an hour, and we went an hour.
I know it's hour and 23. So I was checking the calendar here. I don't see a show. I don't see show names for Sunday, Tuesday, or let's see. Actually, I do see one for Sunday because I'm just making it up right now.
There you go.
This Sunday, we're going to be talking about playing with Chat GPT. So we're gonna play with Chat GPT and see what we can get out of it.
No,
Tommy
whatsoever about that.
Tommy's a fan of it. Tommy sends me stuff. Hey, look what the chat wrote for me today, and he'll feed a little something into it. So we're gonna play with that some this Sunday.
It sounds like a fun new tool.
Yes,
and it's like everyone's all is going, AI is going to put us all out of business. No, it'll just become another tool, like Photoshop.
Yes.
It's just a tool.
Yeah,
and some people will abuse it and do comic book pages with people with 7 fingers on each hand and 3 noses, and the AI will create, but
two thumbs.
Yeah, or even Jack Kirby drew 2 right arms in one cover time on this fantastic. So it happens in real life too, but it's just another tool.
Yeah,
it's just another tool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's one I want to learn how to use, but
if
they make it easy,
we're going to play with it some. We'll see. We'll see. We're just going to spend the stream doing that. Tuesday, I don't see any topics for Tuesday, but next Wednesday, I think Barb may be back as host, and you guys next Wednesday we'll be talking about our favorite stories. Okay. Which what we were supposed to talk about today, but
that's some more thoughts. I have some stories to tell.
There you go. You guys can have a chance to think about your favorite stories. So Kickstarter news.
I was going to ask, do you have a Kickstarter coming up?
So Kickstarter news. So Steam Patriots and Beyond the Stars are all out, with the exception of about 5 people who never responded to me with your addresses. And so if you don't have your books and you're listening to this and you're like, why don't I have my books? It's because I don't have a place to send them. I cannot mail them out unless I have an address to send them to. So please send me that email address. The one that we just finished, which was
Obsoletes and
Pendulum.
That's
Obsoletes and Pendulum. I just got an email from Kickstarter that says the funds are on the way, which means that it is usually a day or 2 before it actually shows up in my bank account. And then I'm going to place the order with Kablam. So as soon as I get that money from Kickstarter, I will place the order with Kablam. And then we do have another one coming up. The next date for
that was my question.
The Kickstarter, yes, sir. August the 8th through the 27th, we will be kickstarting Cat and Mouse number 4, the conclusion to the miniseries that we've been working on for a while, as well as Kalis, Achilles Has Landed number 2.
Okay,
so
that might be one I might be interested in. Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. So you guys put that on your calendar. Sock away your pennies so you can help us out when that gets along. Anything else from you guys? Any other news? Any bits and bobs and pieces?
No. Just heading to San Diego Comic-Con next week.
Excellent. Yeah. That's right. That's next week, right?
Next week starts Wednesday. I will not be on. I will most likely not be on Tuesday night. I'll probably be setting up at camp. We're camping down there, so we drive our. We have a travel trailer, so we drive that down there, a camping space, and then run into town every day.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it saves on the $400+ a night hotel rooms.
So do you park? So do you park your car, or how do you get back? How do you get downtown?
We take the truck that we tow the trailer, and we park in at the train station and ride the train into downtown.
I was going to say that's probably the best way to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that's
as expensive as hotels are. Oh my god.
Yeah,
it's just great.
Yeah, it's gotten out of hand. We won't dive into that topic. That's a pretty interesting. We might talk about San Diego Comic-Con maybe the week after that, because there's been a lot of changes. And Dave, you could probably give us an update, because I've heard Marvel and DC both won't be there. So Marvel won't be at Hall H.
Yeah, a lot of them are not doing Hall H this year. So
it'll be interesting to see how that affects the show, if it does at all. So so be ready, Dave, to give us a report.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Would love to hear what's going on there.
Yeah.
I haven't been since the '90s, so it's even bigger than it was then, and it was crazy then.
Yeah, we've been going the last few years. That's actually when Roland and I had hooked up. Was that one? Probably the last one he went to.
Yep, probably. Because I went with my Kablam buddies, Barry and Tommy. They're like, hey, dude, we got a space for you if you want to come on out. So
cool.
Yeah, I was like, it was hard to say no to, you know. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
That's like the offer I got to go to Daytona. So
there you go. That's right.
Either.
Yep. All right. Vic says it because I don't know where my armband is yet. It's not unpacked. But Vic says it for us. You guys know what to say at the end of the night.
Make mine
Silverline. There you go, Rob. All right.
The Wampa says, make mine Silverline.
All right. Good night, everyone. Where's the end stream? There it is. What's in there?
Hi, I'm Bill Black. I created FemForce. But you know what? Today, make mine Silverline.